The day's prayer will be offered by our guest chaplain, Rabbi David Azen. He is ordained by the Jewish Institute of Religion at Hebrew Union College. Rabbi Azen.
In Paris, a ritual took root on a bridge, you may be familiar with it, where lovers would take a lock and attach it to the sides of the bridge, and they are gathering only deepen our fortitude and determination to build bridges between peoples and to honor the keys to everyone's life. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be the will of our Creator, and may the time come speedily and in our days, and let us say, Amen.
For Holocaust Memorial Day, we will move to file item number 64. That's ACR 152 by Mr. Bloom for the purpose of third reading. The clerk will read ACR 152.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 152 by Assemblymember Bloom and others relative to California Holocaust Memorial Day.
Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. Good afternoon. I rise to present ACR 152, which declares May 16, 2016 as California Holocaust Memorial Day. For the past decade, while none of us will ever be able to fully comprehend the Holocaust in the same way as those who experienced it firsthand, we must do all we can to listen, learn, and document each story, and then pass this knowledge on to our children and our grandchildren in the hopes that this never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Mr. Medina, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, members, honored guests, on behalf of the Latino Legislative Caucus, I thank my colleague from Santa Monica and the members of the Jewish Caucus for authoring this resolution to honor the millions of lives lost during the Holocaust. The atrocities perpetuated by the Nazis be an inspiration for each of us to live with hope in our hearts and courage in the face of adversity. For these reasons, I urge you to add your full support to ACR 152.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Mr. Holden, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on behalf of the California Legislative Black Caucus in support of ACR 152. Members, over the history of the human race, woven and twined are similarities of experiences that remind us that notwithstanding different races, cultures, religious beliefs, or sexual orientation, we are more alike. Members, I urge your vote for ACR 152.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Levine, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise in support of ACR 152. On May 5th, the entire nation of Israel stood in silence for 2 minutes to remember those who lost their lives during the Holocaust. Every year, Israelis anticipate this somber moment of reflection. Drivers exit their cars, men and women stand still in the streets, children stop playing, and people solemnly listen to the sound of an echoing alarm. On Yom HaShoah, or Holocaust Remembrance Day, this sound reminds the world to never forget. Shalt not be a bystander. I thank the author for authoring this resolution and urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Ms. Garcia, you are recognized.
Member Speaker, on behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus, I rise in support of ACR 152. Today we stand to recognize those who suffered the injustice aid and rescue operations of the Jews in the German-occupied Europe. I encourage all of you to vote aye on ACR 152 to commemorate this part of our history and the important lessons we must learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Dr. Eggman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members, guests. Welcome to this chamber. I rise as the chair of the LGBT caucus to also stir a strong recommendation for ACR 152. The LGBT community stands in solidarity with the Jewish community. It was in 1934. The more we bind together, the stronger we all are. I urge us to vote aye on this 152 and forever remember that together we are always stronger, and to resist any kind of efforts to tear us apart.
Thank you, Dr. Raikman. Mr. Nazarian, you are recognized from your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. Today I rise as a proud joint author in support of the resolution to honor the victims and survivors of the Holocaust. Over 70 years have passed since one of the darkest times in our world's history came to an end, the horrific events that once took place. As a member of the Armenian Caucus and a descendant of survivors of the Armenian genocide, I know firsthand what it is.
As chair of the API Caucus, I rise in support of ACR 152. I ask for your aye vote. And I also
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Chavez, you are recognized.
Yes, I'd like to rise also as a member of the Republican Caucus in recognition of this important resolution. Understand that every day we need to continue to fight for the freedom of Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, members, I also rise in support of ACR 152. As a young man, I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. as an intern.
Mr. Wagner, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I told this story my first year up here at the ceremony for Holocaust remembrance, and have not repeated it since, but do want to, in the never forget tradition, as I have my last opportunity due to term limits to participate in this ceremony, I do want to tell just a quick story. I am not myself Jewish, though it is my understanding of the Nazis' hideous anti-Jewish laws that under their rules I would have been in the concentration camps because of my mother's heritage. And I never met my grandfather because he died in that war fighting against the
to remember the lessons of the Holocaust. Thank you. I ask for your aye vote. And I'd like to first open the roll for co-authors.
Mr. Bloom is asking that the first roll be open for co-authors. Members, the clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors adding on ACR 152. This is for co-authors, members, on the resolution. There are 75 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
The guest of Assemblymember Calderon and Assemblymember Chang is David Yungman, a child of survivors. He is seated at the desk of Assemblymember Chang. He is honoring his parents, Nathan and Gisela Yungman, and his mother-in-law, Alice Babroff, all survivors. At the desk of Assemblymember David Chu is Rita Yerohimovich Jeremy, a child of survivors.
Time, I invite Rabbi Azin to return to the rostrum to deliver the mourner's Kaddish. Rabbi.
Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach